Philiso, how you doing, sir?
I'm feeling awesome, eh? I'm really feeling awesome about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, new day, new challenge. So yeah. And you
Thanks.
guys?
All good, all good, all good.
thank
In a rainy Joburg morning, we're alive, all good. Thanks for making the time to have us sit down with us.
It's a pleasure.
Do you mind just briefly taking us through who Philiso is and what brings you to this chat?
Yeah. I guess this is the part where everybody fails. But yeah, briefly just to tell you about myself.
Yeah.
I'm a broadcaster, you know. I'm a voice of the people. That's what I really like to call myself. And I really have a love for where the world is going. The world is going with tech. And definitely, I'm the person that really wants to be behind where the train is going.
Yeah.
And I specialize in the media field as a marketer, as a voiceover artist, and you know, I just fell in love with the space of tech, and I was like, okay, where are we going with this? Who's going to be the voice? I started doing your broadcasting in sports, and news as well, and I just started combining all of that, and here we are today.
All right. So in tech, what do you do specifically?
So in tech, right now I am a marketer within the tech space.
Okay.
I've recently also just opened a tech publication
Okay.
called Tech Published. You know, I also always come to these events of tech, and I'm like, okay, who's covering the people that are here? Who's talking about their stories? You might find. I guess it's always hard also to ask a non-technical a techie to tell a story. They would design things in the background, but you need somebody to tell the story. And within the tech space, that's my purpose, to amplify stories that you find people doing normal day. They don't even need to be a billionaire startup, you know, from the ground. And that's like the kind of work that we do to amplify stories that really matter. And in a South African perspective, you find mostly on, when you go on certain platforms, they'll tell you about Western people doing the most. And when you look at South Africa, man, it's sometimes negative news, which is good. We learn from it, but you find there's few people that are being spoken about in the tech space. There's innovation news that people can cover. And yeah, I guess I'm just that person, and my co-founder as well, who couldn't have been here today, unfortunately, but that's what we do.
And what's your general views on the developments here? Do you find that there's going to be there's enough inertia, there's enough movement, there's enough happening in the tech space to kind of make a little dent in the economy, or you know, how are you telling the story? What's your approach there?
So the way we're telling the story is from a storyteller's perspective. There's communities, there's ecosystems, there's your builders, and you know, the small guys on the ground who never gets that time to expose what they're doing. We have a lot of startups, even within spaces like your Tsimulhong, Ubuntu Hub, and so forth. All of those spaces, and you find that there's activities happening every time, and there's no media to cover such. So there's always emotion, there's always people doing, like, I believe, in my perspective of what I've seen, techies are the most busiest people, you know. I have this friend who's a coder. I always ask him, why are you sleeping on the floor? He's like, if I sleep on the bed, I might find myself not even finishing this code, you know. And nobody's covering those kind of things, you know.
So the concrete helps him to think.
Yeah, he says like it's a relaxer, you know, it's a relaxer.
The hard floor is the relaxer.
The hard floor is a relaxer.
More like the bed is too much of a relaxer. So if the bed's too comfy, he's not going to get up and work.
I doubt. I think that guy just has bed habits.
so
wait in the bed.
You can take your the movies that we watch. You know?
Yeah,
we always get inspired by something outside our country, and for us, it's like it's not possible. You know, until you meet somebody else, and they would be like, I've been working on this app, you know, I've recently joined a certain community, and they always coming up, young people, you know, young people are always coming up, telling us what are they busy with, how far is it, and so forth. And you find that kid never being assisted within the ecosystem. And I guess to answer your question, that's the stories that are running like freely. Those stories are just running freely, and we honestly wanted to capitalize on it.
Yeah, there are many emerging technologies. Which of the technologies that are making headway are you most interested in covering?
So for us, it would be your everyday use technology for people, and also software within software, and any company that integrates tech. For instance, people are now on the buzz of AI. They're integrating it. Other people would. So you find that we even have AI systems that can speak our language. You know, that can be developed in that kind of way, and those are like the kind of systems that we are looking for. I guess the moment that I don't ask you the question of what are you busy with, I would never know. So if I categorize it in a certain specific that I'm only going to focus on this, I guess I'm missing out on so many stories.
Yeah.
So it's all about you. It's never about us. If I have a long list of, hey, this is the only companies that we're going to deal with, I said that I'm speaking about tech. So how you incorporate it, that's your story about how you're going to tell me how you do it.
Okay. There's a lot in tech. There's the creators, the
Yeah.
guys that are building the technologies, products on different technologies. And there is regulation that follows thereafter to say certain techs must be regulated this way, whatever the case might be there. What space are you playing in? Are you also following regulations that are supposedly supposed to protect the creators, or are you only focused on the creators themselves?
So for that one, like an example that I can give you, we had the last summer with a tech law company,
Okay.
you know, and I was asking the person that I think I saw something within the AI space is that when I want to amplify my voiceover, what happens after that? You know, what rights am I giving the company? Maybe they can reuse what I'm using. Maybe they can reuse it. So from the law side, I also saw an opportunity there that then she went even deeper into explaining it that no, once you agree to the cookies, there's underlying things that happens, and then you actually giving them access to that, which of creators don't know. To us, it's like an easy buck. We like, okay, at least I'm gonna escape the creative big payment, and I'm just gonna use AI, and then that's it, you know. And then from the creative side, another person would say, hey, Phil, maybe you're using this app and it's a bit difficult for you to use because of there's a licensing. I created something much better. So I look at it from both points, from the law side and from the creative side.
Okay.
When you're thinking about the publication you want to build, how are you approaching that? Have you thought about a model? Like how are you thinking about making money from that, or how are you thinking about it as a publication?
Yeah. So as the publication, this is how we sat down and thought about it. You have your news article, so we have like a website where people can, let's say, pay a minimal amount of money to review those stories, and we also partner with a company for our insights, a research company for our insights. So it's not like you're thumb sucking and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, A and B said this about that. Let's try and replicate the story. So it's through that website that we're looking on how to funnel money, and also from other companies, they would say, hey, Phil, we want you to come and cover this, but we also have workshops. How can we integrate it into what you guys are doing? Because once you have a website, we can tell people that, okay, Jim or Tom has a website, Jim and Tom has a workshop, we're going to cover this workshop, and that's where the breaking of bread would come. During that workshop, at least I'm doing the covering. You don't need to worry about, is the cameras working, who's talking to who on the ground, who's profiling those people. So for your big corporates, for instance, we also work with them. That's how we would communicate that return on investment. So we looked at it in those two ways.
And distribution?
And then distribution, it would be on your digital platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any plans of reaching the remote parts of this country where such information otherwise would never even get to them?
Definitely. So like our main target was South Africa,
Okay.
and then secondly, we like, for instance, everybody thinks maybe like yes, Silicon Valley is good and it's the biggest thing, but little time do you hear about Kenya. you don't hear about Kenya being the trailblazers within South Africa. So Kenya is our second stop. To also talk about that, I'm still doing street interviews.
Street
street
interviews.
interviews on an entrepreneurial side. So this is just another page. So it's like a side note. Within the street interviews, I used to just go up to people. What are you doing? Like your famous people, like your Nick Hammond and so forth. Same kind of style. So those would be like, for us giving back to the community, we use that platform as getting access to that. And then I guess at the end of the interview, you could say, for more information about, let's say, to better your business, this is the page that you can actually follow that incorporates tech. We wouldn't want you to be behind. You're in the township. You don't use card paying machines. People are in a hurry. They don't want to use they don't want to use let's say money, for instance, and so forth. If we can tell them that A and B are integrating this at the moment, go to Tech Published, look out. We did an interview with them. Let's bring the two together and maybe let's talk about the challenges. Why are you staying so far behind with moving on with the times? So I guess I was very blessed to have that experience of running the page that I run, so that I can understand what happens in the township. I come from the township myself, so it was always just that blessing of being able to, through the work of communication, meet different people on a different level, from informal to formal. Yeah.
Is that a vertical within tech publishing, or is that a separate product entirely?
Yeah, that the street interview was it's like a separate product entirely, but it doesn't mean that I don't know how to tweak it. From that experience of my street interviews, I can still make it a bit formal or pleasing to a person who would say, I want to tap into the township market. How do I do so? Or how do I tell my story better to them? We can sit down, like the beautiful thing about creatives coming together, you can have a camera and I can have a camera. And at the end of the day, I could tell you, don't you think this view is better? You could tell me, don't you think this view is better? Okay, let's work on yours. So just that integration.
So you clearly have covered a lot of ground, speaking to with people from different walks of life.
Yeah, it's been like 10 years. I don't
10 years.
It's been like 10 years. Ever since I don't want to tell you my age. So
Just give it away, man.
Ever since I left high school, I was like, I tried going into your community radio, and at first you don't get the reception that you'd want, and then I was like, I'm going to try and build something of my own. So I built something. That thing was called the Philiso Drive, but please do not focus on that. And the Philiso Drive, that's where we started off with these street interviews. Okay. And companies would call me and be like, hey, Phil, we have this kind of program. Would you like to come and do it? So those kind of opportunities actually took me out of the township, and gave me an experience of travel and so forth. And I guess that's where we are today, like with Tech Published, when we started attending tech events as well. My friend was like the co-founder as well. He was like, nobody's covering these guys. And it's such a shame that there are solutions for South Africa, and also the youth, there are so many solutions for them. How do we document it? And the number one thing I think for us as Tech Published is that we never want to make it about ourselves. If you pick up the phone, you call me, we can figure it out, and you can tell me that, hey, Phil, this is what I want to tell the world. You tell it in your way, and with the insight, we can also add from the research company. We can also add, and hey, this is what you didn't know. Maybe let's include that as well. Yeah.
And what has been some of the common trends? I know tech startups face a lot of challenges. As you engage with these guys on the ground and you document the products they're building, what has been the number one challenge for most of the creators on the ground?
Yeah, for the creators on the ground, plus those of the same color, I guess, like it's access. It's access
to
scaling, or even understanding that they can't reach a certain level of, for instance, your funding, funding gaps and so forth. Or many of them would complain about, maybe I don't think I would want to go through another cycle of going into a program again. what's next for me. We
Mm.
had the same chat last week with a group of tech communities that we find ourselves going through the same cycles of just being in incubators, or there's nobody to help, there's nobody that assists us to the next level. So that access of funding, or that just that support, like if I don't reach a certain threshold, it means that my idea isn't that great. Some people within, as we spoke to some of the startups, they would tell us that for I would always need to prove myself over and over again, whereas somebody with that IP idea, or just that idea, can get funding. So yeah.
Are you hoping that your publication is going to help with that?
We honestly hope that it amplifies such stories more,
Okay.
so that people can face their direction into these young people, so that they can know that there's hope, for them taking out their time of not being in the street, or wondering about life, and them dedicating their times to be within innovation hubs, that within that innovation hubs there is more support. Like, we ask them one question: how can we help you? When we have our tech sessions, we have, like, let's say, for instance, we document your tech clinics, that it's not just where we have a panel discussion and we're chatting and what, but within that tech circle, we can assist you with whatever problem it is. At times we even documented the where they told this young person that, hey, your idea is actually not that great because somebody else is doing it and he didn't know. So, and we tell them that do not worry, because even within the tech space, within those circles, we want them to know that you can also have lawyers within this. And how do you, as a lawyer, explain, as a tech lawyer, how do you explain the protection of this young person, and within those conversations, if they are captured, somebody else live streaming, they are learning. And when I even speak about access, you find these spaces being far away from where they live, like Township. If I'm hosting this in Rosebank, I have nothing against them. If I'm hosting, but you look at the distance, commuting and so forth. When we live stream such things, or they read about it, it gives them at least a certain clue of, where do I go next?
So do you back to the point you just made now around the funding as a challenge, do you agree with those views necessarily, to say the struggle is that the entrepreneurs on the ground see a ceiling to say, after this funding, then what? Do you agree with that, or do you find that there are things outside of those challenges that the entrepreneurs themselves can do?
So I wouldn't say that. So when I talk to these entrepreneurs, I wouldn't want to take your side fully. Let's look at what other ways you didn't follow, what other procedures you didn't follow. And let's try and, with the workshops, that's where also the workshops come in, that, okay, I think you guys need, let's say, a workshop about different levels of funding. Maybe the people that you have been working with haven't been giving you this, and with that kind of access and that privilege of documenting other people, I already know that maybe SIPO from what can be connected to this one. So hence I say that I can't fully believe your story, because I don't even know, like, the processes that you follow. But with such amplification, it becomes sensible that there is help for you somewhere, because I've met someone, or they have read something within tech publishing. They're like, oh no, man, there's actually tech clinic for you guys, so you can check out your app, or there's developers that can actually help you within that problem.
Cool. Last one for me. Should this guy starting out only focus on funding as a way to make it?
Definitely not.
What's there for them?
What's there for them? At the end of the day, you're an entrepreneur. It's not like you waiting for a savior. With Tech Published, we also started off by saying that the idea is great, but what collateral do you have? What have you done so far? And I can always go back to.
But wait, you are talking to somebody from Soweto. What collateral could they possibly have?
What collateral do they have? Like, how far have you done? Have you done your research on the ground? Have you walked the streets? You know, we come from places where where we used to work for companies on the ground, and you used to ask questions, and that's where you integrate those kind of things. Like, how far did you actually push? Even when you saw it, do you know that next door maybe there's a center that can actually assist you, or have you just been sitting on your phone and be like, nobody's gonna assist me, you know? And like with answering that, we can talk about that kind of things within a digital platform. Whereas when somebody's sitting at home, at least they know that, that center there does this and this and this. They host this and this and that, you know. So those are the kind of information that they can cover.
Yeah, but also like a round of funding is useful. But if you just find yourself in continual rounds of funding, I think that's pretty much a sign your market's telling you your product is kind of not a product. It's not worth it in the market. The market has spoken, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so to kind of pipe in a little bit on your viewpoint there. So funding is important. I do think funding as a means, as a leg up is always important, and you should pursue it. But if you're not, if you kind of, if that's your model, like to get funding, I think you like exit the game, because you're just wasting everyone's time. If your product doesn't make it in the market, it's not a product.
And I was asking that because you tend to see a particular wave of entrepreneurs who believe like funding is...
They like this lifestyle. They like the hubs and stuff.
Yes, it's like, come on now, do something.
Yeah, do something.
You can't just wait for one round of funding after another round of funding. And when there's no funding, you're like, so
they like hanging out in hubs, you know?
Yeah.
So, and hence I was even saying to you that at the end of the day, when I started by answering that question, I said, at the end of the day, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work, go for the next baby, you know, go for the next product. Keep your eyes also on the ground. What is working for people and so forth? What problems are they facing? What is their pain points? One thing that you must understand is that title doesn't mean anything, you know, of you being a co-founder. It's a fancy word. The work that matters is the work that's on the ground, you know? Yeah.
100%.
Cool. And what are you guys busy with now that people can look out for?
So right now we covering a series with a telecommunication company called Africa's Talking, and they recently had a week-long hackathon, and we covered that as well. So we're also looking forward to working with other ecosystems and very close friends that are really doing amazing work, so that, you know, let's pick up on the train. And if you're looking out for our work and you really feel that, you know, your company needs the kind of exposure, or, you know, somebody needs that solution, definitely we are the people to talk to and just have a conversation with.
Right. And how do people get hold of you?
You get a hold of us on all social media platforms at Tech Published, and then our website will soon be published. It's also Tech Published.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making the time.
Good time, man.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. That's been the Angle Podcast. Please do like, subscribe, share on all social media platforms. Angle.